Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. My name is Adam Hancock once again, and today I want to talk about transition. By the time this video posts will be the last week of August. Kids are back in school, travel plans are going to change as far as like what people could do to physically visit Florida to vet things out if you're possibly relocating. But there's also like a market dynamic thing. I mean, the last probably, I would say 3 years in a row, going into the back half or the early part of Q3 into Q4 of the year, people have that should I do it now or wait thing. Our price is going to continue to drop. It's that anticipation of the balance of am I going to miss out if I don't do something, but I also don't want to go too early if I'm going to regret it if something else is going to be released. And that's new construction, that is pricing, that is interest rates. And this year is no different. They've been a little bit different, the reasons that people have had these thoughts, but at a certain point, all these variables that are inconsistent year to year become a constant if you're doing this every single year. And this is one of the most unique in a standpoint of that the buyers are actually on the right side of the equation instead of the sellers for the first time we've seen in a long time. So I want to kind of popcorn around and hit pretty casually some things that I've been ruminating on, a lot of questions being asked about similar subjects from current clients that have just done something or at the brink of doing something, and that is going to be the premise of today's video. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure that you check out some of the new releases we've done. We have a new Home Geeks audit thing on the website where really you can get like a custom thing without you having to talk to someone on the phone yet. A bunch of other free resources and things like that on the website as well. Without further ado, let's hop in. All right, so we are just going to kick things off. I'm going to walk over to jot things down on the whiteboard while we do this. We have a couple categories, but the main theme here, I'm going to really try to stay in that lane, is if you could have known all the information in January, but you wouldn't have necessarily known it now, that would have maybe made the purchase you're about to make not make sense, because if you knew what was going to be available in December, for instance, and this could be in every category, you would have regretted what you just bought. Or it could be the opposite. You could say like, now I know for sure this is going to be good, or maybe I can even be predatory and take advantage of what other people aren't going to be aware of because I've researched for so long, so I'm going to know what these new releases mean, but other people are going to wait because they're not as deep as me and this kind of thing. What you want to have on your radar, I think first and foremost, is the southeastern expansion of Lakewood Ranch. It's in the Waterside District 1, which is the most exciting district of Lakewood Ranch. It's one of the closest areas to the entire town. You get the best of the suburbs, you get the best, you don't miss out on Sarasota stuff as much. But right now, if you wanted to just push your way in and buy there, you're going to fall in love with it, and you're going to find the deeper you get in, there's not a lot of availability in multiple categories that fit the average person. So what they're doing with this expansion is they're going to do about 5,000 homes across multiple builders in one of the greatest areas, right? So you're going to have a Toll Brothers product that that's what you see today. It's called Monterey. So if one of the highest end you could do if you didn't do custom, they have some bigger lots that I don't think they're going to do a ton in the future. Right now, it's a little underrated because even in Lakewood Ranch's map, it looks like Monterey's over here and the rest of Lakewood Ranch is here. So people are like, I don't want to be out in the boonies, but the more you know about Sarasota, and the reason there is a gap is because this is going in the gap, then potentially when everybody knows exactly what it's going to be, the deals aren't going to be as good. But you're also going to have an Esplanade Taylor Morrison brand. This is going to have no golf, but we've seen Esplanade at Rosario in Lakewood Ranch. We have seen Esplanade at Sky Ranch. There's another Esplanade of Lakewood Ranch, Esplanade Siesta Key, Esplanade Palmer Ranch. They've done this a bunch. A lot of people really enjoyed this. So this is going to be 800 something homes that are going to be in there as well. There's going to be a Pulte brand there. Pulte builds all over the place as well, so this will give you like some competing building. I'm sure you're going to see more Neil having a presence there as well. So look at all these homes. That's going to take 10 plus years to build out probably, and you're in one of the best locations. And I think would you have bought above State Road 70 if you could have bought here? I don't know. Would you have bought in Venice if this existed? I don't know. So I think that's one thing to look at. There's also Windward, which is a community that is in that same district. They've gone in and out of favor for me. I did a video on them a little bit ago about this expansion a little bit, but Windward builds some interesting models like Savannah 2, the Kiowa. I think, again, it's in a fantastic location. It provides perspective affordability. It's not going to get you to the 1.5 million on average, that kind of thing. They're doing a little bit of an expansion. I think 300 total homes. The one thing to note here is I think in the entire community, current phases and new phases, 60-ish as of like 2 weeks ago is all you're going to be able to do in the collection that fits 3,000 square feet on a single story well. Everybody, that's like really their flagship models. Everybody's like falls in love with these models at the upper tier, and when they're done. So that would be worth noting if you've been shopping for a while. Sky Ranch is basically doubling size. So Sky Ranch involves, right now they have Casilla at Sky Ranch, Taylor Morrison. They have Esplanade at Sky Ranch, Taylor Morrison. They have townhomes that, investment or not, interesting because of the price point. That's Central Sarasota, that's the key. So it's about 11 miles one way to Siesta Key. So if like Lakewood Ranch is up here, downtown Sarasota is here. So this is like exit 210, Fruitville up. And then Venice is exit 202. Down here, Welland Park's over here, beaches and all that kind of stuff. This is like here. So Siesta Key sits below downtown, 6 miles. And you're really central. So like then you can go, I can enjoy all that has to offer. I can enjoy all that has to offer. That's really the name of the game with Sky Ranch. There's not a lot of building there. And basically Taylor Morrison dominates all of it. So this is going to give you another several years to build. The 3H Ranch and Hi Hat Ranch stuff, that's like the big master plan rumblings in this area. Because the thing about Lakewood Ranch and Welland Park is they have a bunch of communities that come together for communal amenities. It looks like a thing, it feels like a thing, it's cohesive. Sky Ranch isn't. It's one big community in the middle of mature construction, for good or bad. These two elements are supposed to be what's built basically like adjacent to Sky Ranch, and they're going to be the multiple community thing, but I don't think this isn't a January thing. This is going to be much longer. I mean, if you're like my 2030 plan, like it's going to be awesome. It could be another reason to buy Sky if you anticipate that it's going to become a thing. So food for thought there. What else is interesting? You still have Seaflower going on in Western Bradenton. That one's kind of a peacock, but that's getting you 3.5 to 5 miles one way to the beach. The other thing about Welland Park I'd look at is I still like Palmyra. Either go super low, like try to get one of like the MI townhomes or something like that, or I would try to go after ICI versus like Homes by Town versus maybe MI in this order of price point and size and scale and the lot and all that kind of thing. Like say you buy Homes by Town, best example, bookended by these two, make sure it's cheaper than this and this one's cheaper than that. You don't want to buy MI that costs more than Homes by Town necessarily in the minds of the biased people. And then ICI should give you some sort of custom advantage. If it doesn't, then maybe sit here, just from an economic standpoint. Oak Bend by Toll Brothers. One of the ones I like the most right now, it's to be like 181 homes. I just did a video on this. You have Toll and ICI. This should be at a 20, ICI at Oak Bend should be at like a 25% plus discount versus Palmyra, and Oak Bend is closer to Cool Today Park and it's closer to downtown Welland Park. It's not going to have, the amenities are going to be like normal. It's not going to be quite this, but that one would be interesting to look at. It's all going to be high end. It's going to be boutique and it comes at a discount, which you haven't seen a ton. Toll should be like an evolution of what they did at Solstice. So it's not going to be Monterey pricing up here. It's going to be the Venice version of Toll here, but their lots are going to be a lot cheaper. Like the $250,000 lots they sell ICI at Palmyra are going to be like 70 to 90K. And then you're going to have base prices that sit in like the high 7s, low 8s. So you could see like maybe you get to 1.1, but you'd have to, if the lot only takes up 70 to 90K of it, then it's not going to be all lot that takes you to $1 million, which is important because then $200,000 of upgrades would take you there. And that's what you want. There's going to be another Esplanade. This will be one of the first releases. Esplanade at Welland Park. So this is going to be right below Calusa or Welland Park Golf and Country Club, which is Lennar. So this one's right now is not supposed to have golf. I think there's a potential they tie into like Myakka Pines Golf Club, which is an old school one that's going to be renovated. That would be cool. It's going to be basically the social membership of what you've seen about. So you'll be able to go, the cool thing is you'll be able to shop. I think this one's going to come out earlier than Waterside, but at a certain point, maybe Q1 of next year, you'll be able to shop Esplanade Waterside versus Esplanade Welland, which is my favorite kind of way to learn a town because what you want to do is you want to keep some sort of constant. The geography is the variable, but if you can shop the same community that's very similar and you're not like, that's not the reason you buy, then you can pick where you'd like to live on a map better. But all of this is going to give you much more line of sight to say, Waterside might have not been in play for you. But where things are going is they're going to more normal communities that fit the median buyer, and they're not going at extreme prices because of the current market we're in. So everybody's super hesitant. They're not doing all these like quick move-ins that they designed instead of you that come at like they set the price and all that kind of stuff. I think they're going to come out extremely conservative on top of all the new releases because they want to make sure if they're going to release something, it's going to actually sell, and they're going to try to find out as much as they can about that through pre-sales and maybe incentives, early buy phases to guarantee that they can show their investors and their board of directors that this is going to go well. That is what I would say about the communities. All right, the second thing I want to cover is the fun topic of inventory. And I've spoke to just as many people that fall on the left and just as many people that fall on the right side of where we're going to end up here. Are we going to stabilize? Is it going to continue to go up? Like, how is new construction going to affect it? I have an opinion based on the very unique market in which we reside in. It's kind of insane because we're seeing certain cities within Southwest Florida hit like 8 months of depletion inventory, which is crazy, where the same market maybe 3 years ago averaged an entire 12 months, a 0 to 1 month on market. So all that demand's coming in, and the amount of homes that they're able to choose from. This is why you saw like 100, I mean, no exaggeration, 100 cars trying to go to an open house. You saw people buying Esplanade Azario lots on a eBay lottery style bid for $300,000-$400,000 grand for 60 feet wide by like 140. And this is because of scarcity, which is probably not new news to anyone, but like the rapid pace in which you go from this to this that's why it's the hardest thing to make a decision, because it just feels unstable. Like, are we going to fall somewhere in between? Are we going to go back to this? What's this going to be? And we're talking like 24 months removed. So a lot of school of thought has this going to this around this range, more balanced. And the reason that they have that opinion is because we have a season in these vacation hospitality-based towns that most places of the country do not have. That's why I always talk about Sarasota as like, national news is what it is. You have general macro market dynamics, but you get into towns that people do things for reasons that other people don't or can't. It changes all of that. And it's very niche, siloed kind of information. And it's hard to be non-biased when you try to describe that, but I think it's more of a life stage, you know? So like if you have this snowbird season where people come in from November to like, let's say February, March, that's their vacation time. And then they end up buying a place because why would I rent? Then they end up making it their homestead of 6 months and 1 day, whether that's Canada, New Jersey, or whatever. They're trying to take advantage of all those tax advantages. And so a lot of people travel down regardless of their renting or buying during this time. That's when they tell their friends they should also buy. That's when they're trying to look for purchases instead of renting anymore. And it brings up, all that to say, it brings a bunch of demand into a market during a time that most places in the country do not have. If you're 39, 2 kids, that kind of thing. It's Halloween. Kids are back in school. My kids are playing 400 sports right now. Like I don't have a week to just go somewhere and look at homes. So a lot of people think that this added demand is going to create this. I think it's a valid opinion. However, there's another school of thought that, we have a lot of personal customers. I have a lot of buddies in real estate that have that same thing happen to them, is that people right now that tried to sell their homes. This is very unattractive. They're not going to get what they want. Even if they think they're priced unbelievable, people aren't buying it. So they're like, I'm just going to take my house off the market. I'm going to put it back on the market around October. Well, if all of this demand comes in, and then all these homes that are invisible right now because they're not on the market relist here, will we stay here or maybe get worse? I think that's valid. And then another thing that I'm not going to get too crazy into the reasons, but like Canada, Canada's general, like, I don't know if disdain's the right word, but not great feeling about America. We've seen a lot of resistance of Canadians wanting to come down. And not every market in Florida, but especially Southwest Florida from Sarasota down, Canada is a big player. And so if you remove demand that would typically be here from Canadians, then I think potentially will it stabilize? I might lean more to this number because I think you'll have stuff come in. I think you'll see it even, and then you'll see things that shouldn't happen swing it back to what it would have been, and it might not move. And then on top of all of that, the problem with all of this stuff right now is like typically when we talk about inventory, we're talking about almost 100% resale, right? We're talking about that. That's the only layer of the entire real estate market that all of this is based on. But the problem with Southwest Florida, you have like 500 plus new developments being built right now. They don't have inventory listed on MLS in a way that's meaningful. Taylor Morrison doesn't list, I'm gonna build 5,000 homes that would add to this number. So they're releasing, selling. So it's kind of it's a vague number. Well, people are gonna have all of this available to them and they're still buying new. So it doesn't help any of this. And it messes up how people can even predict if they should sell their house, could sell their house, because now it comes down to, it was timing. Like a lot of thing with buying resale versus new was like, I don't want to wait 12, 15 months. And again, this is demographic. If you're trying to get your kids in a new school, move across the country in a market that's scarce from a rental standpoint, you have a fit, like this is moving to Texas. There's a lifestyle reason. I'm starting a job. Like I have these things I have to do. And then I need a house to live in close to that stuff. Well, that ties you to a timeline that new construction is not very friendly for, because you'd have to find an interim option, storage, all this, nightmare, cross country. You don't want to do it twice. Well, these are not those people. Our median age, I think, is like 59, something like that. My customer base, it's not these people, so they can do things, they can wait, they can be patient. And now new construction is not taking 18 months, like stuff that taking 7 to 9 months. Even custom stuff's taking 15. So if you have all of that available to you and the appeal of that, as long as the geography of where it sits in the town works, aka, a lot of the resales in the most attractive areas, because new construction needs inland space. But if it's anywhere close, like this is the southeastern waterside stuff, if you get to where it's compelling, even enough, then I think people naturally go here. This is also how they learn the town, which I preach all the time. I'm not just new construction. I mean, I'm not incentivized just to sell new construction. It's just if you come to town to visit and you're trying to look around, looking at a bunch of resales on a tour, it doesn't really teach you about the town. So they end up using new construction to tour the town, which also gives them an experience of what it's like. Feels nice, feels shiny, it's a good experience, that kind of thing. And all of this kind of thing in a market that has 10, 12% of all of Florida's new construction isn't necessarily going to help this number either. So I think my gut tells me that I don't know the end game of if this keeps rising. There's only so many homes in Sarasota. It's a big demand market, obviously, but this is not slowing down. So I think all of this combined, I would lean, if you had to pin me against a wall, that we're not getting close to a 5 to 6 as much as we're staying in this area. Okay, my third point is about pricing. And I think just the simple question is, will prices drop? I don't want to buy now if I could have got a better deal later. It's how much better, these kind of things you got to get into. But my take on it is, I don't know how I could believe what I just showed you there and then also argue that prices are not going to continue on a downward trend. I mean, the inventory is too high. New construction messing up what they even think about how inventory should be. There's so many options for buyers. Buyers clearly have buyer fatigue from 2-3 years ago, so they want to be in a leverage position. They're pushing it harder. And then builders are nervous because they see all that inventory too, so they're kind of competing with maybe this even feign inventory. Maybe the resale options aren't actually that competitive to them, but that's not what it looks like to them. And then they're competing with each other. And they're trying to manage all these things, and then the big builders have people to answer to about it. Like they got to show something. So that's not going to make things more expensive necessarily. Now, things that cost $1 million probably aren't going to sell for $500K unless you get really fortunate. But maybe they'll sell for $890. I think things are going to revert back to what I said about the floor plans making sense with the price points. How much should a 2,200 square foot house cost? Just because of the perceived value of some area that you couldn't have got into without this one new construction option. That's going to go away because you could go most places and get something similar now. So if you're looking for new construction deals, I'd be looking for that. What is a low ball, I guess? These big guys don't have to do anything really, right? They want to, but if you can toe that line of being attractive enough to them, but you got to really look at how it's going to affect them too. If they've sold homes in an area for 10 years, they can only do so much with what they discount for your house, right? You know how many people that's going to piss off if they sell the house that they used to sell for 7 for 5 all of a sudden? They really look at that. It's going to mess up everything. It messes up comps. It messes up the entire dynamic of that section of town, because a lot of these towns, the entire infrastructure was built from 1995 to now. So the new construction market created the entire real estate market in that town, and they can't get too crazy with that. And they're going to try to go after interest rates and all these kind of things that hide behind design incentives that hide behind the scenes. So I would consider that. It's not completely call your shots, but you should not get taken for a ride in this current market. And that's all about how much you know. The other thing, which I'll just bridge right here to my fourth and final point, is what I have been seeing both in what customers end up doing, not what they say they want necessarily, what builders do based on that, and then the rumblings in the rumor mill of what builders are about to do, is a lot of the way prices are going to be lower as a median isn't just that they're going to discount what's currently available. It's that they're going to build things that cost less. We're going to go the D.R. Hortons of the world. You're seeing their plans to do large nationwide discounting, and they're the ones that sell the most new construction homes in America. So that obviously is a real, big part of the weighted formula of what happens here. I've heard stuff about Taylor Morrison and some of these guys where, some of these things they used to do, they're not going to do anymore. They're going to say, we don't need to get crazy here. Let's build like a bunch of stuff in this middle range, sell it for what it is, maybe make it even more turnkey so we can control our own margin, and try to just sell the median. And so the days of you getting, the higher end 62-foot wide, 3,000 square foot product where you could do a little bit more without going custom might be going a lot more to even nicer shell products, inventory based homes, package design, stuff like that. I mean, you saw the Taylor Morrison townhome product. You saw the MI townhomes, Nautique, the Palmera. You saw Avanti, Pulte's product that was really small villas and small single families, sold out immediately. So you're seeing people that say, like, I prefer that, whether that's they don't know what they want to do yet and they don't want to go build a custom house, so that's an interim option or whatever it may be. I think we're going to see that's going to be one of the biggest things that happens here is we're going to see all these prices go down. If you looked at just year-over-year statistics, and you're going to assume that prices dropped, that is definitely a part of it. I think the bigger part is going to be they're going to sell a more no-frills, cheaper product for the builder's own margin, and because that's what they deem the market is going in the Southwest Florida area. So that's kind of my thoughts thus far. I think that covers most things that people would be concerned with at the moment. Interest rates, I don't see anything insane there that's going to move the needle enough. I also think we're going to see a lot more cash buyers because if people are trying to time the market and they want to hop on an opportunistic opportunity, then liquidity definitely helps with that. So I think we could see that. And that is my end of summer prediction. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today's edition of the Florida Relocation Guide. I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, my name is Adam Hancock. If we've not met, please subscribe to this channel here. If you enjoy the content and you've not already done so, it's just the best way to see what's coming next. We'll do most Sundays and Wednesdays for the balance of the year. It's 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Time. Beyond that, I released a Q&A show. It's not live, but it's real questions from viewers, current clients, etc., that I'm answering just off the cuff on YouTube. I think that's probably one of the more valuable places you could be if you're trying to get in the weeds, because we're not guessing, there's no showmanship to that kind of thing. So I've really been enjoying it. By the time this posts, I think we'll have 2 or 3 episodes out. So make sure you check that out as well. They're called Real Estate Ruminations, just written like that, and the handle is that as well. Beyond that, if we can assist you in the real estate market, of course, please consider reaching out. I own a real estate brokerage called the Sunshine State Company. It's a boutique outfit. We try to specialize in the art of relocation. We do a lot of new construction because of the nature of people being remote and out of state, but it's a full-scale residential real estate brokerage, all services that you could think of. We really focus on information up front before you arrive to town. So check that out if you deem fit. And then beyond that, the main website for this little thing is called the sunshinestateco.com. We have relocation guides. We have written word version of the videos. There's audio versions of the videos. We have a great email newsletter that we've been putting out twice a month, mid and end of month. And just all the other ways you could circle around finding similar information in different ways, depending on how you consume and what kind of time that you have available to you. So thank you guys so much for consuming any of my content, and we'll see you on the next one.